The iPhone 6s was released back in 2015. The newest version of iOS that it can currently run is iOS 15, which is 3 generations old. And I want to see if this 9-year-old phone can still hold up in 2024. And you might ask why. Well, I just want to try to prove that older phones can still work well and hopefully save people money and, more importantly, time spent on their phones. So this right here is the iPhone 6s Plus. The reason I got the Plus is because it has a bigger battery, and that's ultimately going to be one of my biggest concerns. And it was still under $100. And this one comes with 128 gigabytes of storage. I want to give this phone the best overall chance to still be usable in 2024. The iPhone 6s released back in September of 2015, back when I had hair. It features a 5.5-inch LCD display, but it could technically fit a screen that is capable of supporting a 6.5-inch bezel-less display. It also supports the Apple A9, 2 gigabytes of RAM, a 12-megapixel rear camera, and a 5-megapixel front-facing camera. You know that the 6s was when Apple released my favorite feature on a phone, Touch ID. Look at how responsive it is. As opposed to a press and hold based method, you can press and press harder and it activates. It's a much more engaging way to use the phone. I don't know why Apple doesn't still do this. Obviously a money thing, but I really love 3D Touch. It's a completely different experience versus pressing and holding. It's way faster and way more effective. The screen in this bright environment still holds up. You can still see it well. The colors are honestly still pretty good, which is surprising. It is an LCD display and not OLED, so you don't get those deep inky blacks. The colors still look very good overall, just obviously not quite as good as an OLED. The next thing you notice is that this is running iOS 15. So when I was downloading apps for this video, it kept asking me if I wanted to use a previous version of this app, because this app can only run on iOS 16 or iOS 17. And so that's a little, obviously, that's where we're at. iOS 15 is older than my daughter, who's almost 3 years old. So it's just an old operating system. But anyways, let's head to the gym and test this thing out in the wild. So update on the battery, we are currently sitting at 63%, and it's sort of been dropping like a rock. I left the house with 94% battery, and now I'm at 63, and all I've been doing is tracking my weight on numbers and listening to music on headphones. So not fantastic battery life, not unexpected, but the weird thing is it was like 94 and then quickly dropped to 84. I filmed a little bit of it, and then it did the same thing, and now it's just been sort of casually dropping 1% every couple minutes or whatever. One thing that is remarkable to me is that using numbers on this device works the exact same as it would on my 12 mini. I can input my weights and reps for my workout into numbers, and the changes are saved across devices. The Apple ecosystem works. Workout is done for the day. The biggest thing about this phone that I like is the feel in the hand. I love the rounded corners. It feels so nice. The metal feels so much softer than like the glass straight edge boxy phones we have. Feel in the hand is fantastic. I wish they made them like this still, because these feel great. All right, we finished the gym and we're at 43% battery. As I walked out, I lost about 10%. Just trying to put on a podcast as opposed to music. That's not great. I was reluctant to plug this phone into CarPlay because I didn't want to charge it. I wanted to see how much battery life you can expect, and I think you can expect like an hour. So I'm gonna charge it because I want to actually see how this phone works throughout the entire day. One of the weirdest things about this phone so far is, other than the extremely sporadic battery life, that it actually is really responsive. I mean, look at this open app time. It's like you click, immediately opens. I mean, it takes a minute to load, but then it opened. So far, I like this phone a lot. For the next few hours, I worked on some back-end stuff for Techno Eclipse, not really pushing the phone. I forgot to mention this phone is currently sitting at 81% battery health, and I'm more than positive that this is a non-genuine Apple battery, but there's no way to tell unless you open the phone. So it's almost golden hour, so we're gonna head out to take the best possible photos that we can with this little rear camera back there. It's so tiny, it's insane. But we're gonna see just how far and how good it can look under like optimal lighting conditions. All right, so we are here at the park. I got the 6 Plus, and look, it's about as beautiful as it can be out here. This is shot on a Canon R6 right here, and we're going to quickly, once I get up here, we're gonna take some photos now with the iPhone 6s to see how it holds up. I'm kind of expecting it to look pretty good. The photos look really good. I would say the biggest thing I noticed is the dynamic range. Some of the earlier photos I took today, the darks are a little dark, or the lights are just way blown out. All right, so this is a video testing out the iPhone 6s Plus's back camera, and this is how it looks. We have perfect lighting coming from here on my face. This is as good as a video will ever look on this camera. ever. 2024, 2025, however it looks, this is basically perfect lighting, and you have one of the most attractive models you could possibly get. Here's something fun. Why does the video on the screen taken from my camera look better than the actual video the 6S took? Anyways, my final thoughts are that the rear camera does a fairly good job of capturing photos and a more than serviceable job of capturing video if the lighting is right. The front camera, however, while I was testing, I wanted to get one selfie, and you can see my phone seems to be restarting. I swapped the camera from the rear to the front, and it reset. It turned to black, and look, and it hasn't turned back on yet. It's been like 15 seconds. I ran back to the car. There we go. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm gonna try it again this time. I'm gonna try it again, and now it's at 10%. It's at 10% battery, just at 55%. This is the problem with these really old phones. Okay, I'll hit the button again. I don't know. It's not gonna work. I think it's gonna shut off. I think it's this phone is gonna die. You can't let it get below 50. Okay, there we go. Selfie. That's my wife. All right. I wanna see what this looks like. Hey. Just 2 seconds later, I literally walked to the car. It's off, it's out of battery. It was at 55% before I left the car. Yeah, look, it's totally dead. All right, so we got the phone back plugged into the charger, and you can see we are currently sitting at 55%. I told you, it just shut off with half battery. I never thought that 50% is like the threshold. I mean, 20% I can understand that, but just part of having an older phone with one of these older batteries that is probably non-legitimate. I don't know. I don't know where that leaves me with this, because I was liking this phone up until that happened. If you can't use some of the main features of a smartphone, which is the camera, without it shutting off, then there's no point in really having it. After the photos debacle, we went out to eat, we drove past some Christmas lights, and now it's the end of the day, and here are my final thoughts. Should you buy this phone? Obviously, no. I mean, especially after it's shut down with 50% battery. Is there anybody who should buy this phone? I just don't think so. I think that the cost of this phone is just too great for what you get. If you could buy this phone for like 20 bucks and you want to tinker around with it and play with it, that's fine. But if you want a reliable phone for about the price this thing costs, this was about 96 bucks, and you're just gonna be better off buying like a 2020 or 2022 iPhone SE. At the end of the day, it's just, this phone is pretty much not good for anything. Opening the music app and playing music, the back of this phone gets remarkably warm. That's playing music. I'm not doing demanding things to this phone, and it's still struggled. None of the apps are supported. Don't buy this phone. It's a fun phone to test out. It was cool to try, but at the end of the day, it's 12:47 a.m. and I'm going to be swapping my SIM card back to my 12 mini, which is probably the best phone anybody's ever made. And also, if you notice my background, it says do it now. This is my advice to anybody. If you are a procrastinator like me, and if you want to maybe improve your life, do it now. If you want to go work out, just do it now. Do push-ups right now. If you want to clean your room, do it now. If you want to do some dishes, do it now. Whatever you want to do it now. I'll see you next time. This is Techno Eclipse. You're welcome for the free advice. Peace out.